Anyways, that aside, I'll talk about what I've been working on lately. Some of it I can't talk about. Well, I can talk about it. I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble. There are things back there that I'm working on. Those things have already been talked about publicly, so I think I can say it. But I'm kind of like, I'll say it. I think I can publicly say it. I'm like, oh, which one is this? No, I think I can because it was posted on Reddit. But Ubiquity sent me over some stuff. This was actually not the stuff that you saw covered up or blurred out or that I had another blur on. This is something else that I've been working on too, and so this is I think the next evolution of the UDM, which is the UDM Pro Max. So I've been testing it out. Pretty cool stuff. There's some pretty cool stuff happening in there. I don't know how much I can say. I think the only thing I can say is that I have been testing it, and everything else that's public on Reddit, I can say, but I'm not exactly sure what was all said on Reddit, so I'm just going to keep it at that. So that's what I've been working on. Outside of that, outside of hardware testing for the next thing, the last thing I was working on was getting Multus configured with Kubernetes. Super deep topic, pretty tough for me to figure out. I got a lot of help from a lot of people. And yes, I've been working on that. Even after that video, all the way up until Thursday morning, I was working on that too. Every time I have this new edge case for Multus, and so what Multus does is it helps you expose a container in Kubernetes with an IP address. So basically, if you think about Multus, it's a plugin for Kubernetes that gives you more networking options. And some of those networking options are Mac VLAN. You all might know Mac VLAN from Docker, right? Mac VLAN, the way that it works is if you want to give your specific container in Docker an IP address and a MAC address, you use Mac VLAN to do that. Well, that's pretty much what Multus does, among other things, in Kubernetes. It's that same idea where you need to give a MAC address and an IP address to a pod or to a container, a group of containers, so that you can access it over traditional networking and not over container networking. That's been what I've been working on. I did that for a few reasons. I did it for Home Assistant. That was my primary use case. I got that working. That's awesome. I can turn off host mode networking, and I can discover devices on my IoT VLAN, no problem. I can still access it through my ingress controller, through traffic. That all works great. And then I had another use case for it, which was scripted, which I kind of wanted to do the same thing, and I ran into all kinds of new issues. So figure that out. I have a few more use cases for it that I'm slowly figuring out. All of it has to do with IoT, and my goal is to kind of expose this pod on the IoT network, not fully exposed, but just have it do discovery. And let those discover those devices, because in container networking, you can't do a broadcast, you can't do multicast, and so that's the primary use case. What it all boils down to, I want to do multicast, I want to do unicast, I want to do discovery within a container, and you can't do that through container networking because it just doesn't exist. So the way you do that is plugins. So, anyways. That being said, I learned a lot from that video, and not so much about the topic, but more about my audience. And so I think I went a little too far on the edge of nerd, and it is totally fine. No one's fault but my own. So I am going to be making some changes to my channel or channels that I have. I have two channels right now. One is where this long-winded talk ends up. And I think I'm going to start putting more deep dives, more discovery, more talk stuff on that channel. Because I realize that, the way the algorithm works is really what people want to watch. And sometimes I, jokingly blame the algorithm. And I was like, yeah, the algorithm didn't like it. And algorithm is usually a reflection of your audience. And so I've been pretty good at paying attention to that. Every now and then I get a curveball. And so this last one, I think was a curveball where I thought, whoa, yeah, not too many people are interested in that. So anyways, rather than, bore you guys or you guys tune out those videos that I still want to make, I'm going to start posting those kind of videos on my other channel, on my Techno Tim Talks channel. I'm going to have one more change coming up too, and it will probably be yet a third channel where I post things that, you know, I still want to talk about, I still want to do, but my core audience isn't really that interested in. So I might build up another core audience on another channel. That's kind of it's kind of the blessing and the curse of YouTube. Is that, and I'll get off real life stuff, but just to explain this, a little bit of inside baseball. When you build a channel and you build a core audience, YouTube always wants to make sure you're satisfying that core audience first. That's how the algorithm works. Was the person that watched your video from your core audience happy? Did they continue to do stuff on YouTube? Did they watch a lot of it? Did they like it? Did they share it? Did they comment? All of those are good signals to YouTube to say, yes, this person was satisfied. But that's your core audience. And if that person or your core audience is satisfied, according to their metrics, they'll start going in concentric circles and releasing it out to more and more people. To sometimes they'll release it to people who's never even heard of me. Yeah, there are tons of people who haven't heard of me. More people who haven't heard of me than who had. And so the way the game works is you satisfy your core audience first. You hope it's a success with them. YouTube then pushes it out to people who don't know you, and they subscribe and they become part of your core audience. Well, so the goal on YouTube is to always satisfy your core audience, which makes it really hard to talk about things that you're still interested in that your core audience might not. And so that's what I'm just throwing this out there, saying that, like, hey, there might be some changes to my core audience. No change, except for better content for my core audience. The changes that you will see is, hey, more of my long-winded stuff, deep dive stuff is going to go on my Techno Tim Talks channel. And some of the new stuff that I want to do that I'm super interested in, all related to tech, is going to go on a new channel. Just because I don't want, I will say this too, more insider baseball, a video that doesn't perform well on your channel because me personally, I missed the mark with my core audience, hurts your channel. It does hurt your channel. And so anyways, I'm not thinking about like, hey, what is YouTube going to do with this content? I'm thinking more of like, hey, I want to be focused on the people who subscribe to my channel for a certain reason. And that doesn't mean I can't try new things, but that does mean I need to keep, my core audience happy. That's all it is. And because it's the reason why a majority of people subscribe. They want to see stuff. They want to see HomeLabs stuff. They want to see networking stuff. And Kubernetes is kind of like, that's sometimes, a little bit too far. So anyways, that's some changes you'll see. You might not even notice. To most people, they will not notice, and it won't hurt what you see. It'll hopefully improve what you see and allow me some creative freedoms to do things on different channels that might, may or may not cross over into my core audience. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So anyways, that's a lot about, YouTube Insider Baseball. What's the second channel to go watch the stream? It's Techno Tim Talks. So I'm keeping all with T's. So my third channel has to be Techno Tim something with a T. If you have ideas, throw it in there. But there's Techno Tim, which is my main channel, which is going to be, more polished stuff, always for my core audience. It's going to be things that I think you're going to want to watch, right? Things that I think you're interested in, things that I think are the reason why you subscribe to my channel and watch my videos, And then there's going to be Techno Tim Talks, where this ends up on Techno Tim Talks a day later. I always put it there a day later. Live gets to see it first. Techno Tim Talks, and ends up there a day later with chapters, so people can kind of look at it. Longer-winded talks when I do stuff about discovery on Multus and exploring and deep diving and, more architecture, high-level talks. Those are probably going to end up there, really, because I think that's not what my core audience wants to see. I enjoy doing that stuff. I enjoy doing deep dives, exploring one thing, going deep on it and exploring it and figuring it out and diagramming. I really enjoy doing that. And so those will probably end up there. So anyways, this is all new. Yeah, I was talking about it with my wife last night, and we were talking over dinner, and she's like, "What's wrong? You're not even here." Right after she called me Wolfman. And I just did a brain dump of everything that I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks, because honestly, I want this to work. I've been doing YouTube more and more, and I want this to work. I want this to be my full-time gig, and in order to do that, I need to take some different approaches. Anyways, man, I am talking so long. You guys are kind of seeing what goes on inside of my head, which maybe that's fine. Maybe that's why you're here. But I never want to bore people with like my personal stuff. I don't know. I'm real big on that. Sometimes I put jokes or things my wife and I talk about on Twitter, but for the most part, I just don't think I have that interesting of a life, and I think like the tech stuff I do is more interesting than my life. Anyways, now I'm getting all weird. Anyways, I'm not going to make this weird anymore. We're going to talk about tech. That's why we're here. So let's jump into it. Really quick. Oh yeah, we called out all of the things, all of the events. So I'm going to hop in. I appreciate it. So I see the comments. I want to call these out really quick. Denabime, thank you. Watch your videos over and over. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm definitely not fishing for like compliments, or I'm not like, I appreciate it. And I know that what you're saying is genuine. I appreciate it. But my goal, this isn't like, I don't know. I'm not fishing for anything. I'm more just like helping you to understand that like what goes on and what I kind of have to figure out, and basically apologizing when I miss the mark. Because when I miss the mark, that means I'm out of touch with what the people come to my channel for, and that's fine. And I totally get it. That's a feedback signal. Like YouTube gets signals of what people like. I also get those signals. And I need to adjust, or it just doesn't happen anymore. So, anyways, I appreciate it. So let's get into tech stuff. Let's see what people are talking about. I talked about a lot of tech stuff that I've been working on. Like I said, that's the. I gotta make sure I say this right, because I do not want to get in trouble. And I know as soon as I say the wrong thing, this is gonna end up on Twitter, and I'm gonna be in big trouble. Anyways, that is the UDM Pro Max back there. I'm working on that. Pretty cool device. Hopefully I can share it with you. I did some really deep divey type stuff. A lot of tests on it with numbers to kind of settle the score on a lot of things that I've heard of in the past, and a lot of numbers that Ubiquity talks up. So I'm just laying it all out there. So a lot of good stuff. I promise. It's good stuff. So anyways, if you don't have Unify stuff, it's not a big deal, but they did post it on Reddit, and they said, hey, here it is. Here's the hardware. Here's what you can expect. And I think those were conservative numbers that they put out there. I'll just say that. I'm gonna get in trouble. Anyways, let's hop into it. Let's hop into talking. Hello. How's it going? Hey there. Hey, we can hear you. Thank you. 5x5. Yes, we can hear you. So I do a little test. If you weren't here in the beginning, I do a little test because I have this crazy audio setup. Normally it wouldn't be crazy, but when you throw a Mac into the mix, it then becomes really crazy. And so that's what I struggle with. I'm going to get a new audio setup here soon. I think I'm going to go with the Podcaster Pro so I can have this external device, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it, but I'm not ready to drop the $500 yet. I need to get like a few good videos out before I could do that. So yeah. So anyways, let's see. Hi, Tim. Hope everything is good with you. I'm Upa. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, everything is good. It might have seemed like things I was talking about just a few minutes ago aren't good. No, absolutely good. I have nothing to complain about. That was more just me doing a retrospective of YouTube in my last couple of weeks. Retrospective, I'll put it that way. I like it. In software development or really a lot of product lifecycle management stuff, you do a retrospective at the end of something, when you release something, and you do a retrospective, and you look back at things that went right, things that went wrong, and things that can be improved. And that's kind of what I was just doing there, was my typical, software retrospective or a sprint retrospective, where I talk about, hey, here's the things I should start doing, here's the things I should stop doing, and here's the things I should continue doing. It's a great framework for anything, for software development, for sure. For teams, for sure. It's great, always great to look back and, no hard feelings, look back and be honest and talk about the things you should stop, talk about the things you should start, and talk about the things you should continue. And also, give kudos where appropriate, because a lot of people don't get recognized for all the things they do. Anyways, so I apply that to things I do, and that's what I was just doing for the first 5 minutes, was me doing a retrospective of my YouTube journey over the last 2 weeks. So anyways, yeah, this is what goes on inside of my head. Hey, working on HomeLab remodel and getting Ceph upgraded to the Reef release. Yocto, how's it going? YWS, all right. HomeLab remodel, I saw that. I saw like, I don't know if it was drywall or just framing going up really high. I saw you were getting, physical remodel going on. And Ceph upgraded to Reef release, so I'm not that attuned to Ceph. I assume that's a new release, and I assume it has a lot of goodness, and you're moving to it. That is awesome. That is awesome. Man, YWS is getting upgrades, both physical and virtual upgrades. Man, YWS is where it's at. Yocto Web Services out there, holding it down. Mems. Still shifting apps around to the cloud, keeping local data and switching ISP, and figuring out how to work around DSLite connection. Awesome. So shifting apps to the cloud, I totally gotcha. Keeping data local, gotcha. Switching ISP and figuring out how to work around DSLite connection. I don't know what DSLite connection is, but all of that sounds pretty awesome. So you're saying like, hey, instead of hosting stuff at home, I'll just put it in the cloud, let them bear the brunt of all the security attacks, and then keep my data at home, maybe open up a connection to it over WireGuard, who knows, or over Tailscale, however you want to do it, and keep your data local, but the engine for that data will be public. Yeah, pretty cool. That sounds like a lot of cool stuff to figure out. Doing a little bit of that now with my colo. My colo's pretty stable. HomeLab is finally pretty stable. Yes, my wife can finally turn on the lights with Siri. Happy to report back. Just, it only took about 3 weeks. But yeah, it sounds awesome. So I love, this kind of self-hosting networking challenge type stuff, especially between two places. That's where it gets super fun. I mean, I love doing it here local too. I have a home lab, still have one, obviously, and I love figuring that stuff out too. It gets super fun when you introduce two sites too. It's some pieces are like, whoa, what is going on? Okay, let's see. I got to get this right. Ketivan. I'm going to go with Ketivan. Ketivan. Just migrated some R applications from SQLite to Postgres. Awesome. Web apps are so much faster now, or now much faster. I'm behind you. I totally support everything you're trying to do right now. Well, I don't know what you're doing with the R stuff. I can imagine, but I mean like moving from SQLite to Postgres. Yeah, I totally agree. Things are so much faster. Then maybe you can scale. That doesn't matter with R stack. But what does matter is now you have, a first-class database. I don't mean to call SQLite a second-class database or whatever, but you have a database engine now that's not also running in the thing that in your application. I guess is a good way to put it. You separated the database that was in the application with an external database in Postgres. And Postgres is a super fast, light-ish open source database that a lot of people gravitate towards just because. But awesome. That is awesome. Anytime now I'm spinning up a new container or anything, as soon as they talk about storage, I'm like, please don't use local storage. That's my first thing. Please don't use local storage. And then I'm like, please don't use SQLite. And then if I see like they have environment variables for Postgres, I'm like, yes, thank you. Mainly because I run a highly available Postgres cluster here, and getting that data outside of the application and into Postgres just makes things so much easier. I get it that you can't do it with anything. People have done some really interesting things by shoving stuff into databases before. I may have done that too. But for the most part, just having that for your structured data is so nice. Mainly because now you don't have to back up that container unless it has other data. So awesome, that sounds fun. A couple of projects this weekend. I'm Utpa. All right, I assume we're gonna see him here. Git day, hey all, how's it going? Darganexus. Weekend equals home lab playtime. Yes, it does. It does for sure. It does. And especially if you have like a new project to work on, and especially if you get hardware that ends up arriving on a Friday. That's like such a good feeling. Hey, real quick, I'm Ellie. I'm a Millie. I'm a Millie. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. But yes, I throughout the years, I purchased a lot of hardware, and it was always the greatest feeling knowing that, hey, on Monday or Tuesday, I had a huge project, HomeLab project coming up for the weekend. And on top of that, the hardware that I ordered will be there on like Thursday or Friday. So I knew like, cool, new hardware, got everything I need. Saturday, Sunday is all mine. Gonna order pizza, probably do a BOGO on pizza, so I eat pizza for 2 days and just work on tech. Yeah, those are the days. Those are the days. Yeah, for sure. But hey, I agree. It's playtime. It's super fun. Super fun. Think it just even like reminiscing about those days. I get super nostalgic about the times I used to build stuff by myself. Kind of weird, but true. Jay Sizzle, hey, how's it going? Working on setting up Tailscale after switching ISPs to fiber and finding out I'm now behind CGNAT for a connection. Jay Sizzle, yeah, that stinks. So you switched ISPs to fiber, and fiber's behind CGNAT, carrier grade NAT. That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, I don't know why mobile carriers do it. I assume it's because of IP addressing or something. Like, I assume there's a technical reason behind it, or maybe there's not. Maybe they just want to limit people in general, so they don't even have to deal with, port forwarding and all of that. Sorry, my nose is running. I said earlier I was had a little cold or something. But yeah, that stinks. But hey, like you said, hey, you're gonna use Tailscale to solve that problem. There's also, so many fixes, but I think Tailscale will be awesome. So then what you're going to do is probably get a virtual machine in the cloud, right? And then expose it that way and just have that be your tunnel back home. Sounds awesome. Sounds awesome for sure. Sounds like fun. Woohoo, Crack Kitty, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Romeo. I don't know if it's Romeo or Romeo. I like saying Romeo Jr. I broke my Proxmox cluster this weekend, and I'm still in the process of reinstalling Proxmox and restoring all my VMs. Thank God for VZ dump backups. Yeah, but this gives me the opportunity to do some cleanup on my HomeLab and maybe migrate some VMs to containers so I can free up some resources. Yeah, there's nothing like kind of starting over to make you rethink some of your infrastructure choices, right? I totally agree. In this case, it was a disaster for you, but you had the backups from VZ dump, and but yeah, now's a good time when things are down. Now is a great time to reconsider some of your choices that you would make. You have full VMs and you have Proxmox. Like, hey, maybe this would be better in an LXC container. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be, right? It's gonna be. Because it's a container, it's a Linux container, which is everything you need, minus the thing you want to run, similar to Docker containers. But I go for it. Sounds awesome. I have rethought those a few times, but I chickened out. I chickened out a few times. I almost made all my pie holes LXC containers, and I totally chickened out. Especially on my colo stuff. I'm like, now's a good time to use LXC containers instead of VMs like I've done in the past. I totally chickened out. I did. I don't know why I did, because I was like, do I solve this problem at the same time as just migration? And so I kicked that can down the road. What I tend to do sometimes, and I wrap it all in like, hey, I'm just being pragmatic. But sometimes like those decisions, I do kick down the road, especially if I'm like migrating stuff. Now, see, I'm making excuses again, but yeah, I agree. They are awesome. There's nothing wrong with them at all. Absolutely nothing wrong with them at all. To me, it's just old habit. I am up a couple of projects this weekend. Docker Swarm, secondary DNS with By9, and Wazuh for tracking. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. I'm curious, though, why Docker Swarm over Kubernetes. I totally get it. Hey, maybe it's easier. Maybe you have the knowledge already. Totally get it. Just curious about that choice. But secondary DNS with By9, yeah, I've wanted to look at By9. I've actually been wanting to reconsider a lot of my DNS choices. I still use Pi-hole because, one, it's easy. 2, it works. And 3, I have this pretty elaborate sync job that happens between here and even my colo. And I didn't want to rethink that process again, so I kind of kicked that can down the road. And it'll make for a more interesting project when I do go to something after researching, because I'll have to migrate that data too. And so I'd rather, sometimes when I do kick projects down the road, it's not so much that I just want to like procrastinate on them. I also want to document them. I want to have some time to learn, and I want some time to create a video too. So I've always had to kind of reframe what I'm going to work on now with like, okay, is this something people would be interested in? Is this something I should capture? And so that was a big change. Slowed me down for a long time on projects. Now I'm pretty good at it. But yeah, good luck on those. And Wazuh for tracking. Yeah, I totally agree. I need to look into that too, just so I, have some, a little bit more information on what's going on in my network. Pretty cool. Salverius, howdy folks, how's it going? Mafni, we saw that. DGD Gabodi, trying to learn Python. Okay, building on top of a very basic university course book I took. All right, to write a TLS certificate creation and management system before I set up the HomeLab again. Interesting. So you're learning Python in order to basically create a CA. So a certificate management system. I assume. Well, maybe it won't provision certificates, but maybe it'll look at them. Gather information about them. But pretty cool. It seems awesome. For sure. Daisy, do you still do the audio chat in Discord? My Kubernetes broke and I cannot get a load balancer to work. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, sometimes we hop into voice chat. It's been a while. I know during the pandemic we were hopping in there all the time. It was pretty awesome. It's been a while though. What I would recommend doing is just hop in there. It's kind of like this. I don't know. Like I've noticed that like if one person hops into voice chat, even if it's a mistake, like me clicking the wrong button a lot of times, other people just jump in. And it's not just me too. It's just anyone. So I would encourage you. I mean, if you want to talk to people about this, hey, hop into voice chat and you be the reason that people hop in. Because I see it. It just takes one person to hop in there. Before you know it, you got 8 to 12 people. And then I hop in, and then everyone's like, be quiet, Tim's here. No, I'm kidding. They do say it, but they're kidding, I think. But yeah, but anyways, my Kubernetes broke, and I cannot get the load balancer to work, so I'll focus on that piece. There's a couple things you can run to check. Kube control, get all -o -wide. And what that will do is like get all resources and give you all of the information about those resources. And then you should be able to see if that pod or whatever it is, the deployment or service has load balancer and has an IP assigned to it. I mean, a lot of times, it's just knowing the magical kube control command to run, but that's where I would start. If it was me, I would, first I would say kube control describe deployment or service or whatever it is, deployment probably, or the pod. Hey, what's going on with this guy? Hey, he's okay. He's all right. He looks good. He was fine. Describe the service. Okay, the service doesn't, kind of looks okay, but I'm not sure. But when you do the, the kube control kube control get all -o wide. Maybe you can do a -w too, but I usually do it. I don't know. I do a -o wide. That will tell you everything about it, and then you can see, hey, this for some reason this service that I have isn't getting a load balancer IP, and then maybe you kind of know where to look. Then it's like, hey, I got to go kick MetLB, or I got to go kick KubeVip or Cilium or whatever you're using that creates your load balancer, and then go from there. I know that's I'm making it seem pretty easy, but a lot of it is just by inspecting things, for sure. And I'm sure you already did that. Maybe I'm telling you something you didn't know. More of the stories, hey, hop in voice, and you'd be surprised who else hops in voice too. I see it all the time. One person goes in, all of a sudden it's 5 minutes later. So Salvarius, 3 years. Wow. Where's the time gone? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it, dude. 3 years, man. Crazy. I know. I have no idea. Like, with some people are like, how long have you been doing YouTube? I'm like, I don't know, like 2 years or something. I think it's been a little bit longer than that. I think it's been longer than that. Time flies. What do they say? Long days, short weeks, or long days, short months? Long days, short years. I don't know. One of those. But basically, hey, you know, your days are long, but you know, time really goes by super fast. So even though you think your days are long, like, you know, you stack up those days really fast. So I appreciate it, Salvarius. Thanks for everything. Undercurve TV, I'm making my first browser extension called No Slacking. Oh gosh. It's going to be an extension to try to prevent you from slacking off by blocking sites like YouTube. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like where this is going. And then if they do try to type it in and you go there, is it just going to show some big banner that's like, stop slacking? And then you put a button that says, no, I really want to Slack right now. And you click that, and then it lets you, lets you Slack. That'd be awesome. Anyways, sounds fun. Sounds like a fun project to learn on. That, you know, that's what I always say. It's like, you know, pair something with you want to learn with what you want to do. And this is a real world, you know, scenario. Hey, I have such a habit to, you know, just type in, you know, youtube.com or whatever the site is, x.com, twitter.com. You know, it's just second habit sometimes. And like, if I could put that thing that would stop me from doing it in place, maybe during certain hours, that would be pretty awesome. Yeah. Anyways, I like it. Hey-o, how's it going? Modest Tim, how's it going? Working on Fresh Talk, I bet. I got the name right this time. Let's go. Thank you guys for the bits. Crack Kitty, haha, I was just going to put some bits in to get this hype train. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Jay Sizzle, the Midwest weather is bipolar. I totally agree. I think they say this in a lot of places, but especially in Minnesota. Like, if you don't like the weather here, just wait 15 minutes. I mean, we've had days where it's, you know, 30 degrees in the morning and 70 to 80 in the afternoon, and then, you know, 50 to 60 at night. It swings all the time, especially on these in between seasons. It can go really far, swing. And same with temperature, wind, everything. Yeah, for sure. Midwest gets, I mean, they get a lot of it. They get a lot of the extremes, I would say. Well, not the extremes, but just kind of the sloppiness of rain, tornadoes, you know, whatever. Yeah, temperature swings and stuff like that. Denabime, what is the best way to install Rancher? I've tried deploying to a single node K3S, a Docker, and several other ways to get it working for a few hours days ago. Crash Loop City. So the best way, so you're mentioning, you know, hey, I tried to install on Docker, I tried to install on Kubernetes, and I'm getting crash loops. A couple of things. First of all, I will say this, like Rancher is meant to manage and provision other clusters, just high level. Like, hey, is it a UI for my existing cluster? It can be, but really its role is for you to use it to manage other clusters or provision new clusters, right? So that out of the way. So then how do I install Rancher? Well, you can do it the Docker way, which is basically they say, hey, this is for a lab environment only, not HA, not really that great, but you can install it on a Docker container. And from there, you can manage your other Kubernetes clusters. Or you can, the other thing you were trying to do was install it on K3S, which you should be able to install in there with a few simple Helm commands, and it should just work. I know you're more than capable of figuring that out, and that's probably what you did. But then that gives you a Rancher. That gives you a highly available Rancher cluster to then manage other Kubernetes clusters. Now, I know some people install, you know, then their user workloads on that machine and in that cluster, and although it does work, it can cause some other weirdness. So I would recommend, so if you're going to do this, I would recommend, if you are going to use Rancher to manage clusters, I would separate them. And if you don't want two separate clusters, I would honestly, and this is a lab scenario, I would go back to the Docker way and just say, I'm totally going to separate these concerns, right? Totally going to separate these concerns. I'm going to use Docker to, you know, use Rancher to then manage my K3S cluster, or I'm going to use this Rancher installed on a K3S cluster to manage my other K3S cluster. Anyways, that aside, it should be, according to their documentation, a lot of stuff that I did, it should be a couple of Helm commands, and then it should be installed. I think you got to make, well, biggest one is that it's got to be on a supported version of Kubernetes. I think just the other day, I think it was a couple days ago, they just started supporting Kubernetes 1.28. And it was 1.27 for a long time. So they're not on bleeding edge Kubernetes because they do a lot of testing. They do a lot of vetting. They have a lot of, customers across the world, especially in the government sector. So they're not bleeding edge Kubernetes, but they're supported Kubernetes. And so 1.28 just got supported. If you want to be ultra safe, use the latest Rancher with 1.27. But 1.28 is fine. I upgraded a couple days ago. It's totally fine. So then it's a Helm command. Using a couple of things that they want you to install, like give it a name and stuff like that. And then after that, you should be able to hopefully do a kube control describe or get a deployment of Rancher and see it and, inspect it from there. But that's my suggestion. I basically kind of laid it down, even went far back into like, hey, is this production or not? All of that should work. So if it's something else, throw it in our Kubernetes channel, and we'll try to figure it out for sure. But yeah, good question. It brought up a lot of topics that I just don't get to talk about unless hey, dude, Matt Curlis, dude, how's it going? Dude, Matt Curlis, dude, thank you so much. Oh man, gifted 5 tier 1 subs to the community. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Dude, how's it going? I know Matt IRL. I've never met him in IRL, but I know him in IRL. Outside of Twitch and all this stuff, he knows me. He knows me as Tim Stewart. So, dude, how's it going? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. He probably knows me as Timothy Stewart, I guess. But, dude, I appreciate it. Dude, Matt gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you. So, Damian Rise, Spicy Nug, Jimbo Slice Chicago. Oh, I could go for a Chicago Slice. Dude, and DLO9R. Enjoy your gifted sub. From Matt Curlis. Dude, appreciate it. How's it going? I'm glad you're here. Matt has a great sense of humor. I get it every time, and he makes me laugh every time I see him on a Zoom call and stuff. So he's got a great sense of humor. Very witty. I like it. Not like me, and that's why I like it. So appreciate it. Thank you. Ketevan. It was snowing where I am. Yeah, hey, we've had rain, we've had snow all within the last couple of weeks. So it's in there. It's like Prego. It's in there for us. Like right now, it's, it could be, we've had almost 70 degrees. Did we hit 70? Maybe. We've had snow, and then we had like 4 inches of rain all within 2 weeks here. And now we have grass and tulips coming up. So yeah. Let's see. I am Utba. How often do you attend, I assume, tech conferences? It's been a while. It honestly has. When I was more into infrastructure, I went more often. There's a lot of Microsoft infrastructure stuff. And then when I was a developer early in those days, I went when I worked for larger corporations. Yeah, I went for a lot of Microsoft stuff again. And then then I, worked for a bigger corporation where, most of the stuff that we learned through video. So I think they didn't have a policy, but it was kind of like, can't you learn this stuff, in a video? I don't know. They never said that, or never, it didn't seem like that. But most people, I guess, that were in my circle at this other company, they didn't go. Because we were developers. Not that you shouldn't, because there's a lot of great ones going on. But actually, there were, I take that back. There were some local ones that I went to, like Midwest JS. It was awesome. It was pretty awesome. And other local ones. So I would definitely attend local ones when I could, when they were here in Minneapolis. And then I started doing startup stuff for a long time. Still kind of been. And now kind of doing my own thing plus startup stuff. So really the only time that I can go to tech conferences is, one, if I get invited, and two, if it doesn't overlap with other things that I'm doing. I would like to attend more. It's been a while since I've been to one. I've been invited to Red Hat's conference twice, and I can't make it this year. I can't make it this year or last year. And I was actually, I was invited to other conferences around the world, but timing is just weird or bad. So I would love to attend more. I would love to attend more. Believe me, because I love hearing new things. I love seeing new ideas, and I love meeting new people. In those situations, I usually feel like when people are at conferences, generally in a good mood. You know, it's like you know, a party kind of for tech people, and people are generally in a good mood, and so it's fun to be around other tech people and around tech, you know, thought leaders, and around a lot of smart people who are kind of doing really cool things in tech, and then sharing that with people. So I agree. I need to get to more conferences. It's been a while. It has been a while. I mean, between COVID and everything else, I mean, who knows? But I would love to. I would love to. PC Geek, it's always DNS. So anyways, I am Utbot. If you have some you're attending or know about, hey, throw them in chat. Like, tell me about them, because I would love to attend. I'd love to attend. But also, like, I don't have anyone paying for them now, so it's got to be something I really want to attend. Like, I have to put up, you know, airfare, travel, all that stuff, because my work's not paying for it, because I kind of am working for myself a little bit right now. So Arrs, 90 out back in the shade. Oof, no thank you. No thank you. Oh, that sounds, 90 degrees here. Oh, plants are dying, a lot of rain in the winter, which means a lot of fires in the summer. Not good. Oof. Yeah, 90s and Tim don't get along at all. PC Geek, I'm tinkering with Kubernetes, making my Helm deployments into Helm chart manifests. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I honestly think that's the way to go. That's why I do, you know, GitOps now, is because, you know, I can't tell you, like in the past, like when I've installed something with Helm, what flags I've used and how I installed it. Like I still have in one of my, you know, my note-taking apps, all the Helm commands I used to build my cluster. Because I was like, if I lose this Helm command, I won't know how to install it the same way, or I won't know how to upgrade it. And so, yeah, once you move to Helm charts and you have a Helm controller in your cluster, then you can use YAML. Then you can keep it in code anywhere you want, and you know exactly what it's going to do, and you can apply it now and in the future. So yeah, I'm there with you, man. I'm there with you, man. Can grass be related to? Sure. Can grass can be related to? Oh, because I was going to touch some grass. Let's see. Man of War, heard about BitWarden Secret Manager the other day. I'm thinking about testing it out soon. Do you have anything? Oh, gosh. Testing my security now. Do you have anything to secure / manage app container secrets? Ooh. So the question is like, hey, do I use a secret manager inside of, for me, Kubernetes? Next question. No, honestly, in my Kubernetes cluster, no, I don't. I mean, I use Kubernetes Secrets. Obviously, those are encrypted. It's not a vault. And you're asking, do I have a vault in Kubernetes? No, I don't. Not for this cluster. I don't. I use, you know, SOPs plus AGE, where I encrypt the secrets in my GitOps. But then those are decrypted once they get to the cluster as secrets. But they're not. They're encrypted at rest. I'll say that. My secrets are encrypted at rest. They're not encrypted in my cluster. They're decrypted once it gets there, and I'm not using a vault to pull those secrets out, right? That's what you do with a vault. You have a vault in cluster somewhere where you're like, hey, here's my key. Give me this, you know, here's my key. Give me that secret out, and it will be decrypted out, and you could base that on a ton of stuff. So no, I'd love to look at all kinds of secret managers, you know, or vaults, I guess I should say. It's a better way to put it. There's a lot out there. But that's good to know that BitWarden is also creating a secret manager. So pretty cool. I did not know that, and that really that fits into their I guess their portfolio, right? Pretty awesome. So yeah, it's pretty. I'm starting to think about it because I know some people use like 1Password. Along with their Kubernetes cluster, which is kind of cool to think about. Like, hey, your secrets are in 1Password, and they're managed that way, and then they're decrypted, and then given to the container. And you could change those outside of the container, which is pretty cool to think about, right? Like, just say like 1Password and there's an API. Just say all of that glue exists, right? And that's pretty cool to think about. Like, hey, like something's going on in my cluster, a password leaked, I'm not around a computer. I can't do anything. You know, I can't commit anything right now. Oh, but with 1Password, what you could do is just go into your 1Password real quick, change the password for that one service or that key or whatever it was, and then boom, you know, your cluster will, well, if you have things set up like Reloader, your cluster would see that, hey, I have this new secret. I'm going to bounce all of these containers that use that secret, and then you're good to go. So things like that are cool. And so if BitWarden's doing something like that, that's pretty awesome. And that's why I was saying, hey, that kind of ties into their portfolio because 1Password has an API to get those out to then tie it into Kubernetes. So pretty cool stuff. I might have to look into this because it's the next evolution for me. Vaults in general are the way you should go to store secrets. Like I said, I encrypt them at rest with SOPs and Age, and they're decrypted once they get into the cluster. But then they're just like any other secret, right? Kubernetes secret. They're not encrypted during runtime. They're just there, you know. As long as the container has permission to access them, you know, they can get them. So, yeah, good to know. Good to know. Yeah, HashiCorp Vault is nice. Yeah, I hear tons of stuff about HashiCorp Vault. I've been a consumer of Vault, but I've never really like hosted it myself and ran it myself and got to know the ins and outs of it. But yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. We talked about that earlier. Jay says, oh, Flodash, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Modest Tim. Techno Tim Tidbits. Ooh, I like it. I like it. I like the alliteration. Yes, I like it. Might have to steal that one. How much you charge? Infinite link tree list of channels incoming. Hey, you should see my link tree already. No, yeah, it is pretty long. Well, I have this self-hosted thing called Little Link, and yeah, I got quite a few buttons on there because I kind of got to be everywhere. But it's kind of over. It's maybe overdone. Techno Tim, Kubernetes. I like it. Kubernetes. I like it. Yes, I like this. Trace, Techno Tim, Techno Trace Tim. I like it. I like where this is going. This is going back to me saying, hey, I'm going to divide up some of my content. Some content will appear on some channels. I have 2 channels now. A lot of you didn't know that, but this stream right here ends up on my Talks channel. So I have Techno Tim Talks. That's where that ends up, and that's where a lot of my more, you know, higher level kind of discussion type topics are going to go instead of my main channel, just because, you know, I know that not everybody wants to see them, and that's the point of breaking up some of my stuff. And then I said, hey, I might create a 3rd channel to do more ad hoc type stuff of things I'm interested in that like don't fit into either channel, and they're just going to be loosey goosey, you know, onesie twosie whenever they come, and just things that I think are super interesting and things I want to explore, and I just don't want to pass up. I just want to do it. I want to get something out there. So I like it. Techno Jim Trace. I like it. Trace. Hey, Trace. Yeah, I like Trace. I kind of like Trace because it is the 3rd channel too. People will be like, what? Hey, Tech Life. Hey, Tim. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Any ideas on larger capacity, low cost cloud storage? Yeah, let me know when you find that. Let me know when you find it because I'm interested in that too. Yeah, I mean, so I think the cheapest thing that I can think of, right off the top of my head, is Amazon has that cold storage. It's like I forget what it's called. It's not Avalanche. It's something like it's something I can't remember. I can't remember what it is. Glacier. Thank you, Lord Harlock. I knew if I just described enough cold things, someone would come up with it. So Amazon has this thing called Glacier, and the way that I understand it is it's really cheap to put things in. So it's great for DR. So like in a DR scenario, super cheap. You throw stuff in there, you throw gigs and gigs and gigs of stuff, super cheap. But you hope you never have to take it out because pulling it out, you pay the egress fees on that. And so the way that I've always thought, like, hey, how would I use this? How would I take advantage of Glacier, right? I have tons of data to back up off-site. I don't want to pay much for it. And I'm pretty confident in my 3-2-1 backup solution, right? Well, maybe it's a 2-2-1 right now, right? Or 2, whatever it is when you don't have the cloud. And so to get a 3-2-1 solution, you could use Glacier storage. You could store that there and push tons of data to it and hope that you never have to restore it unless it's DR. And so I was thinking about it like, hey, that's perfect. I could put stuff in Glacier and just trust that my local backups are good enough, right? They're good enough, right? And if they're not good enough, if I totally lose everything, right? then I'm willing to pay to get that data back. And that's kind of how I look at it. Like, hey, would I pay $200, $300, $400, $500 to download that data in 10 years? Maybe. But is that data there that's worth $300, $400, $500? Absolutely. So that's kind of the way that I look at. Yeah, the data does take. Yeah, it does take hours. Like, I'm not saying like, hey, this is a cold DR scenario for personal. I would say, this isn't like a warm spare or hot spare or anything that you could swap out really quick. And he's talking about cheapest, lowest cost. So that's when I'm going down. So yeah, you have to let the data thaw out. Thank you. Exactly. Oh, missed opportunity. Missed opportunity, Lord Harlock. Yeah, so you have to let this data thaw for a couple hours before you get it. They have to let it thaw, because it's coming from a glacier. Anyways, but so I've thought about this for a long time, and a buddy of mine at work, we used to talk about this a lot, and like, dude, this is the way to go. You just have to go to Glacier. You have to be okay with pushing lots of data up there, and you have to be confident in your local backups. And if all of that fails, it's an absolute disaster recovery where paying, $500, $600 to get your data back is actually worth it, right? Right. And so that's I feel like if you're only using it for backups and you're only using it for DR, I think that's the way to go. I think that's the way to go. It gets more complicated. But if you want, if this is for backups and you just want to backup data, Backblaze absolutely the way to go for personal data. I mean, you pay $5-6 a month for unlimited data for backups. Like, it's super cheap. I've been doing it for years. But if you're talking about just like S3, like hot storage, like that you can just store stuff and retrieve it. Ooh, I honestly think that Amazon is still going to be. I mean, AWS is they're so big that their prices are, most likely going to beat most people out. I don't know. I haven't checked on S3 storage lately because I use Minio, and I store it myself. If you're talking about S3, lot of ifs there. But if you were talking about for DR stuff, yeah, I'd absolutely go Glacier. You just got to figure out that pipeline, figure out that it works, test it once or twice, pay the $4 or $5, whatever it would be to restore a gig of data, make sure it works. And then, maybe test it in another month to make sure it works, pay another $5, $10, $20. And then after that, you're not going to pay much at all. Cause I mean, you're paying like pennies on the gig, but again, to get that data back out, you're going to pay on the egress. You're going to pay and you got to thaw the data out. So it's going to take a couple hours to thaw to get it out of their system. It's going to be a slow download too. And you're going to pay on egress. So it's absolutely only disaster recovery. So you should have your local copy always too. So anyways, yeah, it's a great topic if that's what you're talking about. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about because me and my buddy have bounced this off each other a lot at work where we would try to figure out what the cheapest way to store something offsite is. And that's what we came up with. It's going to be Glacier. Just hope that your local backups are always good enough. In the event of a total failure, I wouldn't mind paying $400 or $500 to get all of my data back, right? So yeah, it's I like it. I like it. It's these are good things because again, these are like things I think about at work, and I don't have anyone to talk about besides him. But he's no longer at work with me, so now it's all of you too, which it always kind of has been. So yeah, good to think about that kind of stuff. And when you hear people, when you hear other people's plans or ideas, you get your own ideas too. So. Men's DSLite, dual stack Lite IPv4, IPv6 often used for mobile connections. I see. Interesting, dual stack Lite. I understand dual stack where it, like dual stack networking, it's IPv4 and 6. But I don't understand the Lite part, and I didn't understand the acronym. So good to know. And I'm sorry you have that right now, because I think that was part of the problem as to why you were trying to, I think, use Tailscale. SQLite is RAM, is it not? That means it's not blazingly is in RAM. Is it not? That means that it's not blazingly fast. I think it's using storage, so I think it is writing to disk. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it does persist, right? It does persist, so it has to be writing something down. And it's the opposite. It's writing those to the file system, I think. And if it were in RAM, only in RAM, like Redis, It'd be super blazing fast. I mean, that's as fast as you can go, is putting something in RAM. I mean, it's faster putting it in CPU cache, but you really can't take advantage of that. But yeah, Redis is blazing fast. I mean, Redis is 100%, it's all memory. It's all memory. It's all online. I mean, there are ways to persist that too. But for the most part, the way to make Redis HA is just add more instances of Redis and hope it never all goes back down. But then again, like hopefully you're just using Redis for cache, and hopefully you have a way to rebuild that cache. Yeah, we use Redis a lot at work, and we had billions of records in there for all kinds of stuff. And we were just like, hope it never goes totally down, because it's going to take about a week and a half to rebuild this Redis cache. So yeah, good things to think about too. But yeah. Oh, so SQLite can be in memory and disk. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know in memory. In memory, it'd probably go super fast. It'd go blazing fast. Hopefully it writes to disk sometime, right? Or then it's just a cache, right? Because if that process got restarted or the container got restarted, boom, like, hey, my tables aren't there anymore. But yeah, interesting. I didn't know it could run in memory. That's cool. Hopefully there's it's like a hybrid approach where, hey, it's in memory, but it also dumps to disk like on some timer. So at least you have some kind of way to fall back. Basically, you don't have an IPv4 address. The ISP simulates one for you. That sounds fun. Yeah, so I can totally understand. Okay, so this is Lite, where it should be called like DS4 fake. Or something like that. DS fake instead of Lite. But yeah, I totally get it. I see what you mean. Let's see. I was thinking that too. Oh yeah, so that probably goes back to about SQLite. Backblaze me. Well, we'll see. It's money. It's always money, even when it appears to DNS. Yeah, it is. It is. Because even when it's DNS, really, at the root, it's money. CS Sater. A lot of ISPs in the UK use CGNAT unless you pay for static IP, which I have. Yeah. All the carriers in the US, well, not ISPs, but all the mobile carriers use CGNAT here. But I didn't know if it was is that like an optimization? Is that a cost play thing? Is like CGNAT like cheaper for them to manage? Or is that really to like prevent people from actually having other people communicate with them from the outside networks? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. It's always DNS. Yeah, it is. It is for sure. Cybrid says SQLite can be used in memory and disk. It's useful running tests and programming. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. So going back to SQLite, the in-memory version is great for running tests. Yeah, totally. I totally get it, because I've done it. I've done it with Mongo. I've done it with other databases, where in CI you spin up an in-memory database so that you can seed it with the tables or whatever you want, and then you run your tests against it, and you make the modifications, then you check it, and then you tear it down. Yeah, absolutely. Good call. So yeah, the in-memory SQLite, yeah, so good for tests. I've done in-memory Mongo. I've done in-memory Redis too, which is always in memory, but I've done it during CI. I've done it for Postgres too. So yeah, good call. So yeah, cool. I totally forgot about that, because the in-memory Mongo is something I used to do to be able to run my CI tests. Seed it with the database, make the changes on my ORM, assert that they made the changes. Yep, we're good, and then done. Jay Sizzle. I love LXC containers and Proxmox. Yeah, I do too. I know I don't use them enough, but I do too. I should use them more often, I guess is my point. I'm just like, for some reason I go old school. I'm like, for some reason in my head I think VMs or Docker containers. I know that LXC containers exist, and I should use them more. But I feel like every time it's the perfect opportunity, I'm like midway. I'm midway into doing something. Denabime, I've had very little luck with LXC containers. Interesting. They've been good for me. Spin up, get a template, spin up an LXC container, and then, install the one thing you want, and then you're good. I think. I think. Time's up. Just checking to make sure I'm still good. Brockhard. I just set up Zitadel on Kates and got Portainer, Minio, Argo CD working with SSO. Awesome. Now on to Proxmox with Vicunja and Synology. Well, that was a word. Vicunja and Synology. Really enjoying how to use auth. Yeah, that is awesome. So you set up Zitadel. So I assume it's an auth provider. So you got it running in Kates, and then you have and got port. Okay, and then you're able to authorize, Portainer, Minio, Argo CD, working with SSO. Pretty awesome. Yeah, auth stuff is pretty fun. Yeah, it is pretty fun for sure. I know that Christian released something on Authentic, and I've heard a lot about Zitadel. I should still use Authelia, so maybe I should up my game to like an OIDC provider, or one that can provide OIDC. Basically, identity management, and it'd be going from really user management or just like forward auth type stuff to a real identity management system. But yeah, sounds awesome. Proxmox installs a node in 10 minutes or less. Best hypervisor ever. Penetrator. Yeah, he's just throwing down right there. Proxmox installs a node in 10 minutes or less. Best hypervisor ever. I like it. I like that. That's big claims. I like it. Home Assistant is the only VM I run in. I like this. So Jay says a Home Assistant is the only VM I run in Proxmox. Hey, good call. And I totally get why you do that, because you want HAS.io and you want the supervised, and it runs additional containers, right? Because HAS.io supervised actually spins up its own containers within it. So you can't do Docker in a Docker. You could probably figure it out, but it does not sound like fun. You could probably figure it out in LXC too, but that just sounds like absolutely the wrong thing to do. So yeah, pretty awesome. Yeah, that's a good call. That is one where hey, if you want the additional extensions, or you want the plugins, from their App Store, Marketplace, App Store thing, the extensions, add-ons, you got to run it in a VM, because it uses Docker for those extensions. I'm crazy and I run mine in Kubernetes, so I'm way out there. All right, y'all. Hey, oh man, I'm yelling. I'm probably peeking because I'm super excited. I am. Let me see. Hey, good. I'll read this one really quick. Clever Compiler. I like the name. The cheapest offsite cloud storage I've got is putting a backup server at a buddy's house, and then I back up there and they back up to me. Awesome. The buddy backup system. That is awesome. I just saw that Colton released a video on backing up his server to another server at his parents' house using Tailscale. Is pretty awesome. So it's TrueNAS. You could think, you could figure it out in your head. TrueNAS here, TrueNAS there. Put on Tailscale. Boom. Then you're doing your backups. You're doing your ZFS snapshots, which is pretty awesome. I totally agree. That's the cheapest solution. I mean, you have some upfront costs, right? You got to build another server. You got to build a server almost exactly like the server I have now, with probably more storage that I'm using right now, right? Because you need some room to grow, and you don't want to keep bugging your friend. Hey, can you throw in 2 more drives, or can I come over there and service that thing, right? And then you do the trade system. Yeah, for sure. That is awesome. You could putting a backup server. Yeah. You could. Yeah. So going. I bring this up all the time because I wish this product existed again, and maybe it does, and maybe it does in Synology. I don't know. I hear every now and then that it does. But there was this product called CrashPlan, still out there, but they moved on to business solutions. They used to have a home solution, which was $5, backup all you want. But then they had a free thing, which was software, that was the Buddy Backup system. And the Buddy Backup system was awesome. What was it? Well, it was basically install software on your server, have your friend install software on their server, and then you guys could trade. You could say, hey, I'll give you 1 terabyte on my server if you give me 1 terabyte on your server. And then you would be friends on backup. You would have your own encryption key that they couldn't decrypt. CrashPlan couldn't CrashPlan could not decrypt it. They could not decrypt it. So only you had the key, and the same for them. And you would basically just trade storage. And it was awesome. And that thing does not exist anymore. Like, that capability does not exist. I hear that Synology has something like that, but I don't own a Synology server. And I heard that, like, hey, if you have buddies who have Synology, you could do that. But man, CrashPlan, yeah, I did too. So they're from Minneapolis. Code 42 is the company that owns them. They're from Minneapolis. They're like 4 miles. They're actually like I'd say like a mile from my colo. It's in downtown. So yeah, they're from Minneapolis. I think they just figured out like, hey, it's hard. The money's not there for them. I don't know what the situation was. I'm assuming it was a lot of financial stuff. So yeah, they just focused on business. But yeah, it was such a great idea because it was like, hey, like we're you guys can trade storage and it's encrypted. And I wish something like that exists now, because I would say like, hey, whoever, Raid Owl, Christian, Jeff Geerling, give me like 2 terabytes on your server, and I'll give you like 2 terabytes on my server, and let's back up to each other, securely, do the cloud. Only you have the key, right? All the things. Just imagine it's end-to-end encrypted, and no one can get into it unless they have the encryption key. And like, let's build, a buddy system of backups. So yeah, it's so sad that went away, and I'm so surprised that there hasn't been like an open source project to replace that. I get it that you need infrastructure in place to do it, right? Because not everyone has a routable IP, right? They had to manage the infrastructure to be able to proxy, or to be able to broker those connections to each other, because people were behind firewalls. I think they did that. But if not, you could just say, hey, you got to poke a hole in your firewall. That's it, right? Or if the open source wanted to, make a profit on it, they could turn that into a business. Who knows? Dizzy says, Synology does have that. All right, you can carve out storage on a backup vault that can be encrypted independently of main storage. We all use it at work for a second site we have. All right, so, hey, at least Synology said, hey, there's some value here in this idea, in this product, and we're going to do it. Hey, that is awesome. Good for Synology, because it is such a great idea, and it's a good business decision for them too, right? Hey, it's like, hey, you want to do this? Get into our ecosystem. Buy a Synology NAS, and then it becomes, it's basically like free marketing, right? Free marketing. Hey, do you have a Synology NAS? No. Why? Oh, well, I was going to back up some stuff to you, and you could back up some stuff to me, all that data you don't want to lose, but you don't have a Synology, so never mind. So yeah, it's great marketing. And on top of that, it's a great product. I think it's a great idea. I wish it still exists. Yeah. Hey, and then Yakto throwing in there. All right. Yeah, this last one, Yakto throwing in there. Just saying, YWS has S3 compatible storage. All right. I like it. YWS is throwing his name out there. He's got good rates. I don't know what his rates are on object storage, but I bet they're pretty good. I bet they're better than any cloud out there. So yeah, YWS, Yakto, I appreciate it. All right, first time chatter. This just rolled in. I'm gonna do it. It's the last one. All right. Let's see. Hey, Meshian, wow, you're on center stage right now. You just posted this, and we're gonna talk about it. I've been migrating my home lab from a standalone Docker VMs to Proxmox. Oh, from standalone Docker VMs on Proxmox to a K8s cluster with MetaLB and traffic. Ooh, it's getting serious. It's been quite the ride to learn, especially since I forced myself not to use any Helm charts or Rancher, only K9s. Awesome to learn the ins and outs of K8s. Awesome. Your videos have helped me quite a bit in the past few days, so thanks, man. Hey, Mashion, that is awesome. I like your approach. Where you said, hey. Well, first of all, you said, hey, I'm not satisfied with just Docker. I want to learn more, right? It's totally fine. If you're satisfied with Docker, it's totally fine. But you were like, hey, I want to learn something new. I'm going to create, I want to see if I can replicate this in Kubernetes. And then also you took the approach of, I'm not going to get any help from a UI or from Helm. Although, the Helm one is yeah. I sometimes you need Helm to install stuff, but that aside, Helm is magic, right? And Helm is really just applying, it's applying deployments, it's applying services, it's maybe applying pods or, sidecars or creating load balancers or RBAC, all that stuff. So I'm actually glad you didn't go with Helm. And you said, I'm not going to take this magic. I'm just going to apply all of these resources myself, because then I kind of understand what goes into a Helm package. And I'm not going to use Rancher because, hey, I don't want to provision things through a UI and learn the Rancher way. I want to learn the plain K8s way, Kubernetes way, which is kube control commands. And then, but you did say, hey, I'm going to use K9s to help me in these scenarios. And so K9s is basically it's a UI in a terminal is the best way I can describe it. But it's a TUI. I don't know. It's terminal UI that helps you explore Kubernetes resources, right? So pretty awesome. And hey, I helped you. I didn't help you. You had it all. But pretty awesome. That sounds super fun. I'm glad you took that approach. It's a great way to learn Kubernetes. And man, good luck. We're here. I'm here. I should say that. I'm here if you need it. Join our Discord, which is a good segue into there. You should totally join our Discord. If you haven't already, we have a Discord we're almost at 10,000 people. It's partner Discord where we have channels where we talk about all things related to tech. Non-tech, it's just a good time. We have a lot of great people in here, a lot of great people that you see in chat. I see their names right now. I'm not going to call them out, but a lot of these people are also in Discord too, and so they join the stream. So appreciate it. And low ping. I think there's one like every other week or something, at least for me. And then if you have something you want to share, something I skipped over, I do apologize. Share it in Discord. If you think it needs my attention, ping me. I don't mind pings at all. I don't mind them at all because I got in a tangent on this before. But I manage my notifications fine. So if people want to ping me, that's totally fine. Just know that like I don't actually get pinged, but I check on my pings later on, if that makes sense. But anyways, you should totally join Discord because that's where we talk about tech things. That's where we continue this party. Discord's always kind of like a long after party. Or maybe this is the after party. I don't know. Anyways, thank you so much. There were lots of follows. There were lots of Prime subs. There was Prime resubs. And there were bits. And there were gifted subs. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Never expected, but always appreciate it. And honestly, it 100% goes back into just things I want to do in the future. So it helps fund a lot of the stuff I want to do. So I really appreciate it, but never required. So it's greatly appreciated. Anyways, have a great Saturday. Have a great rest of the day. I will be back here on Twitch next Saturday. Absolutely for sure. I'll probably have something out for you. I can't say when, but I will have something out for you soon. How about that? And I hope you enjoy it. And on top of that, I was going to say one other thing, but I can't remember what I was going to say. I'll remember in Discord. I'll put it in there. Anyways, have a great Saturday. I was going to say that this will be on YouTube tomorrow, but I'm telling the people who probably aren't going to watch it on YouTube tomorrow anyways. So I don't know why I was going to say that. Anyways, have a great Saturday. Have a great rest of the day. If you need me, ping me, join Discord. Take care. Be good to each other. Take care, folks.